I made a decision to make Baker the backup quarterback.
Good.
I just wanted to make sure I want you guys to hear it from me. Instead of all the stuff that flies out there and all that bullshit, I think it's important that you hear that from me, okay? Which is a lot of responsibility for you. Doesn't change for you. Still got to be ready to play, ready to go. But that's the direction I want to travel.
Tune in, this is where it's at. The Fantasy Football Plug Podcast. You know that we got it popping. Oh yeah, that's apparent. Got a shout out to my homie, one and only.
You have now accessed a complicated production.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Plugged In with Jay. I've got a very special guest with me, Coach Hue Jackson. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, first and foremost, for being on the show, man. This is an honor. It's a pleasure.
Well, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to get you started because I know you have things to do, and this is the week of Thanksgiving, so I really appreciate this. So let's get started with – I've got a quick question. As you were growing up, I read that you had a pretty outstanding understanding for the game, and so much so that your teammates actually started calling you Coach. How what all started that off?
Well, our high school coach in my junior year, he left to go take another job. And so we were coachless for about a month.
Oh, wow.
And, I just kind of took the leadership role and put the practices together, made sure everybody showed up and kind of led everybody through it.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's good. You took the reins, man. Went after
yeah.
it. Also, I know I've noticed whenever I was reading some articles that you were so ingrained in football, and football was such a big deal in your community that whenever you're walking back home when you were a kid, and you were in East LA, is that correct?
No, South Central Los Angeles.
South Central.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're in South Central Los Angeles as a kid walking home, and some of these guys would start sizing you up, but you'd show them that football helmet and they'd back up.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think in the neighborhood I grew up, gangs were very prevalent. And I think, but if you played sports, they always tried to kind of do right by you. So I think that was my get out of jail free card, that I was involved in sports, and it worked for me.
Excellent, man. Good. I like that. I think that's great that a community can actually, I mean, it's, gangs are pretty rough, but the fact that they can expect some things like that is pretty great. So I wanted to talk to you about your foundation, the Hue Jackson Foundation. You started that when? Could you elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Yeah, we started that in 2017. It's about human trafficking. If you go to huejackson.org, you can find out all the information that you want, but it's really about helping victims of human trafficking. We also have a housing facility in Cleveland. We partner with the Salvation Army, where we house victims of human trafficking and do everything we can to provide them the resources to get better.
Wow, that's incredible. That's excellent. So going into a little bit more of the NFL stuff, man, you were a coach in the NFL for years. I mean, is there a memory that stands out above the rest? I always like to ask my guests that.
Yeah, probably the memory that stands out to me is when I was the coordinator at Oakland. We played on I believe it was a Sunday evening, and we played the Denver Broncos in Denver, and we scored 59 points. So I'll never forget that. Darren McFadden, Marcel Reese, Jacoby Ford, those guys they lit it up. It was an unbelievable game for us, and boy, it was a tremendous win.
That's awesome. Continuing kind of on that, I mean, was there a specific player that was the easiest for you to coach? Like I heard that you and Darren McFadden had a pretty awesome relationship.
Oh, no, we did. There was so many guys, from Darren to Andy Dalton to Chad Johnson. I mean, it just goes on and on. I don't know that I ever had a player that I didn't enjoy coaching, because they were all, about if you could help them become better. They all wanted you to coach them. But I don't remember a guy that I didn't enjoy coaching.
Very good answer. Very political. All right. And who, if any, who do you think would be the toughest guy that you had to get through to?
Well, I don't think I had one. I know people would say it was Baker Mayfield, but I didn't coach him, So I was the head coach of the team, and he had a position coach and a coordinator. I think people would think that because of his demonstrations towards me, but I don't know where those came from. But I can't recall a player that I've ever had that I had an issue with, during my coaching career.
Yeah, in watching, I couldn't see I wouldn't be able to tell or see if anybody would have a problem with you. You always seem to be getting along with your players and your team.
Oh, yeah.
Very well. So going to that as well, is there a specific team that you enjoy being a part of more than any others?
Well, I mean, my time in Oakland will always be memorable because of Al Davis. Obviously, Al was an icon. I came in there as a coordinator. We went on offense from 31st to 6th. The next year I became the head coach, and we were still in the top 10 in offense despite all the injuries. So, and Oakland kind of felt like me. The fans were tremendous. I lived in Jack London Square. That's where everybody was in Alameda. The facility was in Alameda, but Jack London Square was like an extension of it. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great time, and I enjoyed it. But I've enjoyed every team I've been on, but I enjoyed that experience probably more than anything.
Sure. Excellent. Was there any time of the year, any team that you saw on your schedule that you kind of were like, dang, man, I kind of wish I didn't have to go up against them? Or was there anybody?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's any time when you coach in AFC North and you play Pittsburgh and you play Baltimore, that's tough. But during my time in Cincinnati, we were, if I'm not mistaken, when I was a coordinator, we were undefeated against Baltimore. We split with Pittsburgh, and, everybody else we kind of dominated. So it was fun.
Gotcha. I've heard before in interviews and things, because I wanted to try and study up for this to kind of give you the best questions possible, my man. So you've stated before that you've regretted leaving Cincinnati for Cleveland. What made that such a regret?
Well, because of the experience. I mean, I left a winning organization to go take on an organization that hadn't won, and we lost even more, and I could have stayed in Cincinnati and, was Marvin's right-hand man, would have been next in line in Cincinnati. And I chose not to do that because of my relationship with Marvin. I still think it was the right thing to do at the time. But when you look back, you go, wow, maybe I didn't need to do that.
Sure. Hindsight being 20/20, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So now with Cincinnati at 2-7, seemingly having a tough year, everything going on with Burrow and everything, which, big prayers up for him. Is there anything you would do differently? Anything you can see that you would change to get back on the right track with that Cincinnati team?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to respect that they did the right thing in drafting Joe Burrow. I mean, he is truly going to be one of the stars in the National Football League. But when I look at their team, the one thing that we had when I was there that I don't see right now is an offensive line. We were very, very talented, but Andrew Whitworth and Kevin Zeitler and the left guard, Clint Bowling and Andre Smith. I mean, we had some guys, and we could play with anybody and protect with anybody. And I don't think that's the situation now. And that's something they need to do. And that's something that needs to happen for that young quarterback.
Sure. Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Now, if you were ever asked to come back to coaching, would you take that opportunity?
I'd do it tomorrow. I can't wait. I plan on coaching after this season, getting back on the grass and doing what I do.
Is that right? Back in the NFL?
That's the plan. Yes, sir.
Any suitors?
I won't talk about that at this time. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. Try to get an exclusive. That's all good. Now, you were on one of my favorite shows, Hard Knocks on HBO. How was that experience, and was it as invasive as I imagined it would be?
See, I never saw it that way because I had been involved with it as an assistant coach at Cincinnati, and so I knew what to expect. They do a great job. They don't cause issues for meetings or get in the way. I think they do their job very professionally. And when I was in Cleveland, I wanted that experience for the team for a different reason. We had a lot of new players. We were coming off of a 1-31 year. I thought, what better way to get guys to really work at it, be focused, because nobody wants to put, a bad take out there. So sure. I thought it was really important to create an environment where guys work extremely hard. And I think it did that. And I think that's the reason why they finished the way they did in 2018.
Excellent. So being the Thanksgiving holiday coming up a day after tomorrow, actually, do you have any Thanksgiving traditions, anything that you're going to be doing with the family that kind of let us in on?
No, because it's been so different for me. I'm normally coaching. So normally I'm at practice in the mornings,
Sure.
and when it's done, I'm normally preparing for, a game or the next day's practice on a Thursday. And so it's just been, that's been what my family's been involved with. And normally we end up someplace else eating. I think the thing that will be different is I'll be able to be a little bit more relaxed. That's what I've noticed the last couple of years, a little bit more relaxed during that time. Still itching because I'm watching the games on TV, but understanding, hey, wow, this is Thanksgiving, and being thankful for being with family and friends and loved ones.
Excellent. Yeah, my wife and I, we go we're away from our family. We're in Atlanta, and our family's in Texas. So we just go out to get a chow, man. It's
that's awesome.
That's our tradition.
Hey, don't do all the cooking, so you have to do all the cleaning.
Right, no dishes, nothing.
Yeah.
Something that I have been wanting to do with getting a coach on. You're my first coach, so I can't thank you enough. I love watching the NFL draft, and I love seeing when they clip to the war room and everything, and showing the coach and the GM and the owner and everybody sitting around and doing the draft. Do you have any special draft night stories or anything that might stand out? Any traditions, anything?
Well, I mean, I just think being in that room, being in that environment, and the quickness that you have to have in order to get all the information. And normally you've done this dry run, but sometimes, trades, you get calls about trading your pick. You get maybe somebody who doesn't see the player again the same way. They found different information. Those things can come up. And so I've been in situations where at the last second, we were up against the clock, and boy, we had to really make a decision about what we were going to do. And I think every organization goes through that. Yeah. And I think, it's something that people would be surprised at on a team by team basis on how they conduct that business. Sure.
And in the draft, I know that every player that is drafted is a highly skilled individual. When I'm big into fantasy football, that's how I started all this stuff. And whenever you get these guys who troll these players because they had a bad game, it just pisses me off.
Oh yeah, it's not fair.
They owe you nothing at all. They're doing their job, and they're playing, and they're elite no matter what. Sometimes people have a bad game, but I guarantee you that bad game would be much better than any good game you've ever had in your life.
Right. And sometimes the player is not in control of it.
Correct.
And that's just the other part of it. And people don't understand that sometimes.
Absolutely. Now, with that being said, every player being unbelievably skilled, but is there any player that you have been involved in drafting that you're most proud of? I mean, I know you're going to be proud of every one of them, but is there one that you really like? Man, I got that one right.
Giovanni Bernard. He's I think he's going into his 8th year in Cincinnati, and that to me is a lot. When he came out, he was very talented, played right away, and he's been a very consistent and steady player for the Bengals organization since he was drafted there.
Oh yeah, I love Gio. I remember he was on Hard Knocks, I believe, that y'all drafted.
Oh yeah, yes sir.
That was awesome. I'm a big fan of Gio Bernard. Like Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's a great running back as well.
Oh no, he is. Oh, no doubt.
It's amazing. They don't get as much respect as a running back tandem as some others, and I'm like, that's probably one of the best backfields you can find.
Oh yeah, no, they're very talented. Again, they just got to get that line together so people will know it.
That's what I was about to say. As soon as they get that line set up, man, they're going to go crazy. But, Coach, I really very much appreciate you being on my show, sir. That's going to do it for our show. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again so much. You have a happy Thanksgiving, okay?
And thank you, and happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Tune in. This is where it's at. The Fantasy Football Club Podcast. You know that we got it popping. Oh, yeah, that's apparent. Got a shout out to my homie, one and only Jay.